Hello friends, today I'm making a Decora fashion inspired doll. If you like the doll or enjoy the video, please give me a like, and if you want to see more from me then please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. I super appreciate it. Thank you so much in advance. If you want to support me further, my Patreon, Instagram and Etsy links are in the description box below. A lot of the footage on this doll was corrupted and ended up looking like this. I think this was because my old external hard drive, it got dropped quite a lot and I lost quite a lot of footage in the same way. Don't worry, I've bought a new one, especially after what happened with the Lady of Shalott doll. I still love how the doll turned out and I had some usable footage, so I still wanted to make a video. So I'll try and explain the bits that I've lost and show you at the end. I prepped her as usual by cutting her hair short. I softened the vinyl of her head using a hairdryer, and then I scraped the glue and the hair out of the inside of the head using a pair of needle nose pliers. Then I removed the factory paint using pure acetone. I'm rerouting this doll. I lost a little bit of footage here. I painted her scalp in different sections of where I was going to plug each hair colour. I wouldn't always do this, but I found that this helped me remember where I'd wanted to put the different colours of hair. I was thinking about doing like 3 distinct sections at first, but then I thought that this would kind of give a more interesting effect. This was supposed to be for a Retro Dolls Decora swap in February 2020, but the whole thing kind of fell through and I ended up pulling out. So the colours I'm using are from what used to be Retro Dolls UK, but is now the Doll Hair Emporium. I'm also giving her a new parting because she had a side parting, which I'm moving to the centre. I'm doing it in the same way that I always do, by just pushing my hair-loaded needle straight through the vinyl of the head. I've never found it useful to pre-open the holes. I know some people find that useful. For me, it doesn't make any difference. I like how the hair, even though I'm just using those 3 colours, it kind of visually blended into like this rainbow look, which was not intentional, but I love how it looks. Today I'm using PVA glue to secure the hair inside her head. I swapped between that and Fabri-Tac glue. PVA is a lot cheaper. Basically, if I have the time for the PVA glue to dry, then I'll use that. I find it takes 2 or 3 days, whereas Fabri-Tac glue is usable almost instantly. It does technically take a day to dry, but it's tacky and holds the hair in the same day, like within an hour easily. So I lost a lot of footage here. I made her a little skirt, which you can see in the corner here while I'm making this t-shirt pattern. I made it in an A-line design and it's using fabric that's little black flowers on a yellow background. Decora is all about cute patterns and decorations. If you Google Decora fashion in Japanese, it literally says a decorative look. I tried to incorporate as much of this as I could. I decided to make the shirt in light pink, although I'm not sure that light pink is necessarily a Decora-ish colour. I knew I wanted to put a print on the front and I'm using a vinyl for light colour, so I decided to do it on a light coloured shirt background fabric. A lot of Japanese cutesy stuff is a character, so it'll be like something non-living that's then got a character in it, and pudding is like my favourite thing in Japan, so I decided to make like a teddy bear pudding. I designed a raglan jacket. I knew I wanted an oversized zipper for this, so I bought a human-sized zipper that opens at the bottom and then cut it down to size. I've done this in human projects as well. It's totally fine to do. Make sure you kind of like sew at the ends of the zipper to make sure that you don't pull the zipper off, but it's okay to get it. It's not the hardest thing to get it back on if you do pull it off. The jacket was actually quite hard to make because of how I inserted the zipper and because of the little collar and the bottom part that I wanted in white. I used old t-shirts to make this actually, and I made it in the multicolored fabric, not only because I didn't have enough to do it in all one colour, but again, Decora is all about lots and lots of clashing colours and a kind of an assault of colours onto the eyes, so I wanted to be able to use as many colours as I could. Using velvet and the cut-offs of the zippers, I made this cute little wonky bear rucksack. I noticed in quite a lot of Decora fashion there's kind of weird creepy cute elements, so I wanted to incorporate that. I wanted the zippers to kind of look like teeth on the bear, so I added these wonky googly eyes. I wasn't sure about where I wanted to put them, and like looking back on it, I kind of wish I'd put them on the lower pouch, but I still think it's super cute like this. I started making this before the height of the pandemic, but it's totally normal to wear face masks in Japan. I thought it would be a cute, very Japanese addition to the doll, so I decided to give her one. I was a bit worried that it would be a bit too on the nose, but then I've seen loads of people giving dolls face masks and they have become a lot more normal over here in the UK as well, so I thought it was quite cute. I ended up painting a bear muzzle on the mask to kind of tie this bear theme together. I found these gloves in a 100 yen shop and thought they would make great leg warmers, so I just cut a finger off and then cut it down. It won't unravel. You can see the jacket in the background there. I had these Converse looking shoes in my stash and I decided to paint them in different colours. Like, I used to wear odd Converse in my teens. I can't remember why. I did like doing it. I bought these tights from A-Zone in Osaka. I saw them and I just thought they were perfect for a pop of colour. I haven't seen doll tights anywhere since. A-Zone was so good. I really do miss that about Osaka. Using the air drying polymer clay, I made some cuffs and then covered them in snakes of clay to look like individual bangles, because of course Decora fashion is all about tons and tons of accessories. Using acrylics, I painted the shoes and the bangles, making sure to shade them because single colours can look really flat and unnatural, so I find it pretty important to give highlights and shades. I lost the beginning of the face up. I'm happy that I have at least some, especially after what happened on my last video, but I remember, this was more than a year ago that I did this, so I can't remember all of like the things I did, but I do remember that I wanted her to have rainbow eyes, which then kind of ended up looking a bit like the Instagram logo, which was a mistake, but I do think they're super cute. And this was still when I was drawing really big eyes, but I think I've definitely refined my lines quite a bit here. I decided to keep Frankie's base colour because I think it added well to the like colourful Decora thing. This was at the time when I was doing quite a lot of Frankies, and most of them I was changing their skin tone, so this one was nice to work on, like just a green Frankie. Sadie says hello. I decided not to use any black in this face up. This was a thing that I used to do quite a lot, and it's Sadie! Whoa! Come here then, come on. It was so I didn't used to use black because it's kind of like something that I learned in art school. We had to paint with a limited palette, which meant primary colours white, and we were allowed to use, I think, burnt umber. We weren't allowed to use black, and this kind of got ingrained into my brain. I'm not really sure why. Like, it was just 1 year of my life where I wasn't allowed to paint with black, but it just kind of got stuck in there, and since then I've still kind of found it hard to come away from that. And like in my brain it feels like cheating to use black, which obviously it's not. I think within a doll face up it's actually very, very important to use black for the contrast, and now I do use more black. I like that layering different colours will give you a lot of dimension, but I do use black around the eyes especially. I definitely added quite a lot of the matte glitter that I use in my face up. It's got a pink shift to it. I can never remember what it's called, like translucent pink or something like that. I remember doing a deep dive research on Decora fashion. In Japan they don't say like Decora Kei or whatever. Kei means like style, so they just say Decora fashion and it's just katakanized. You don't see these kind of street fashions away from Harajuku in Tokyo. So I lived in Osaka, which is about 300 miles from Tokyo. Even Lolita fashion, which is probably the most well-known of the Japanese street fashions, is not popular within Japan. I think all of these street fashions are more popular outside of Japan. In the 8 years that I lived in Japan, I saw 4 people dressed in Lolita, which seems really low. Like, obviously not including the maids who work at the maid cafes. Like, that's their uniform and it's like a costume, it's not wearing the fashion. I don't have all of the research that I did, but when I was researching Decora fashion, I'm pretty sure it started in 1998, and at the time there were quite a lot of other fashions going on. I know there was ganguro, which I don't think really exists anymore, but that was always a fashion that I found really fascinating. It was kind of subverting the normal beauty standards, and they would have like quite dark fake tan, which is not really a thing in Japan. Being pale is usually favoured, and then loads and loads and loads of fake eyelashes and like bright blonde hair and really colourful. That always like quite appealed to me. I think that when I was looking at Decora, I know that Kyare Pamyu Pamyu was talked about. I'm only in the Japanese articles that I read. And also I think 6% Doki Doki is the brand that still makes the Decora fashion stuff. Like, Decora is very, very, very niche even within Japan. If you look at Chiare Pamyu Pamyu, her style is kind of way more themed. Like, if you look at any of her outfits, it's not as over the top as the rest of the Decora fashion stuff. Let me know if you've seen anything that like goes against this, because this is what I researched when I was reading about it in Japanese, but I've always found it quite difficult to find very specific niche stuff in Japanese, because I'm going through Google and maybe that's not the place to be going, do you know what I mean? Where I lived in Osaka, the main fashion was American hip-hop street fashion, so you'll see that absolutely everywhere. And then like the usual Japanese outfits that are always a horizontal striped t-shirt, usually in white and navy, and then an ankle length beige skirt. Like, that's what all of the women wear. It's like this kind of uniform in itself almost. And like, Japan is big on this. I was talking to my lawyer and she was saying about like how there literally was a national uniform in World War II. There was a national uniform and it looked quite a lot like a military uniform, and when the Americans came over, so many civilians were killed because they were wearing this uniform. What was it called? Kokuminfuku or something like that. Yeah, they were mistaken for military and all killed. Like, things like yukata and kimono, the cut of them doesn't really change, but the patterns does. That's like the big change in terms of fashion. Other than that, like, it stays the same. And like, so with like national dress, you kind of see it now still. Like, everybody wears a black suit, everybody. And I worked at a company where I wasn't allowed to wear a black suit, and it was just impossible to find non-black suits within Japan. I actually way prefer wearing a uniform. Like, of all the jobs that I've had a uniform with, my favourite was when I was a flight attendant, because not only did you have uniform clothes, you had uniform hair and makeup, so I literally didn't have to think. I knew what kind of makeup I had to do, I knew how I had to do my hair, I had no choice over the clothes. It was so much easier, and often uniforms are provided as well. How do you feel about a uniform? I love a uniform. I lost the bit where I put everything together, which is kind of a shame, and I don't have the doll with me. I added a lot of necklaces, which are quite hard to see, some of them around her neck, I noticed, and I gave her these earrings made from enamel charms. Like, basically the idea with Decora is like, if you think you have enough accessories, you don't add some more. I used Fimo cane slices, which I domed with UV resin to kind of look like enamel rings, and more bangles. I didn't like how her skirt was looking. I didn't think it looked over the top enough, so I made another skirt to go on top out of fabric with clouds on it, and then added an iridescent shimmery trim to the bottom. Like, I have seen tutus in Decora, but of course Japan is very, very modest, so you'd wear another skirt underneath. So that was like my idea with the two skirts there. I found tiny little hair snap clips in A-Zone as well, and thought that they were perfect for her hair. And like, Decora, because of all the accessories, and it's so like childlike and innocent, it kind of makes me think of like Lisa Frank and stuff in the 90s, and I was obsessed with Pokemon in the 90s. I decided to give her an Ash Ketchum baseball cap, and I love how it turned out. I think it's super adorable. I'm really gutted that I lost the footage of making that hat. To style her hair, I first braided it and then gave it a boil wash to give it kind of like a natural looking kinky wave rather than a curl. I was still living in Japan when I was doing this, so I was like, Japanese people everywhere, and curly hair is not very common in Japan. It's as rare as redheads are in white populations, like very, very rare. But you do see this wave quite a lot from braids, and also like almost everyone has a fringe in Japan, like everyone. So I couldn't get to Tokyo to take photos in Harajuku. That would have been amazing. But Osaka still has some great lights and some backgrounds that I could use that still look mega Japanese, which I thought was kind of lucky. I had to take advantage of that, like doing a Decora doll and then photoing her in Japan. So we had a little adventure around Osaka. So how did you think I did? Do you think I did all right with the Decora? I'm still not entirely sure. Like, it's not a fashion that I personally wear. I love how it looks, but I dress entirely in black. Thank you as always for watching and sticking to the end of the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a like. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. I'm super appreciative if you do either of those things. It really helps out my channel and gives me a boost. I hope you like the sound. I got a new microphone. I was going to call it a microwave. Microphone, what do you think? I think it's way better than the last one, and it takes less editing as well. There's a lot less background noise. So please enjoy our Osaka adventure. Thank you again, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Much love. Bye!